I'd like to call the January 15th City Council meeting to order. At this time, would everyone please stand for the pledge of allegiance and remain standing for the invocation done by Councilman Ricky Jr.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear God, thank you for all creations. Look over this council. Help us make the decision that is pleasing in your sight. Look over our first responders, our armed forces, in our area and abroad. Protect our nation. In God's name we pray. Amen.
Ms. Sykes, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Jernigan?
Present.
Mr. Hill?
Here.
Ms. Young?
Here.
Mr. Carter?
Present.
Mayor Witt? Mr. Rosenthal?
Here.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
Chief Butler?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Lake City Council has opened its public meeting since 1968. The city code has prohibited any person from making personal or impertinent or slanderous remarks to or becoming boisterous, while addressing the city council. Yelling or making audible comments from the audience considers boisterous conduct. Such conduct will not be tolerated. There is only one approved manner to address the city council. That is to be recognized and then speak on the podium. As a reminder, persons are not to openly carry a handgun or carry a concealed weapon or firearm while the governing body is meeting. Failure to abide by this rule of decorum result in removal from the meeting. Next we have a proclamation for the Gateway Art Gallery 10th annual. Ms. Sykes, will you please read that proclamation?
Sure. In recognition of the 10th anniversary of the Gateway Art Gallery, whereas the Art League of North Florida, doing business as Gateway Art Gallery, the designated art organization for Columbia County, is celebrating 10 years as a vital part of the cultural life of our community. And whereas Gateway Art Gallery is also recognized by the state of Florida's Cultural Division, and whereas we have strived to fulfill our mission to enrich the lives of our fellow citizens through the arts, and whereas Gateway Art Gallery supports development and diversity through exhibits, workshops, theatrical productions, entertainment, and educational programs geared to all in our community. Now therefore, I, Mayor Stephen M. Witt of the City of Lake City, do hereby recognize Gateway Art Gallery and its 10th anniversary with hearty congratulations and best wishes.
If the representative of the Gateway Art Gallery would like to join me in accepting and receiving this proclamation.
By all means. Wow.
Thank you. Mr. Hill, turn this way.
All right, now we got to trade my bird cat.
Together. everybody.
Thank you.
I would like to thank the city and Mr. Hill for presenting us with this proclamation. I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you for all the members who attended tonight and all the members that are in the art gallery. They are the very core of our group. I want to thank our board of directors for running our art gallery, for seeing over it. We have so many programs. We have a youth program that we administer, and Miss Laura here, she administers that. We have adult art classes, and we also have so many events during the months, all throughout the year. And so I'm just real proud of this group. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one person who's not here tonight, and that is Jean Van Arsdale. She was the heart and soul of this art gallery, and if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be here. So I want to especially say something about Miss Jean. And so that's all I can think about now. I've muddled all over myself. So, but anyway, I just thank the city for this proclamation. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. This way?
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. At this time, we have, next we have the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? So approved. Do I have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oh, nay? Oh, the ayes have it. Motion carries. At this time, we will have public comments. First, we have Ms. Barbara Limley.
We need to give my address? No. The reason I'm here is that we need another person with code enforcement. There's lots of things that happen around, and there's just not enough of Mr. So to go around because he's gotta do other things within the building and zoning department. So when it's budget time, throw in some extra bucks to the building and zoning department for code enforcement. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Dr. Bader.
Thank you, Council. Good evening, Council. I just wanted to follow up with you in regard to the last meeting resolution regarding applying for a grant for the airport. I want to communicate my concern about how this entire resolution was handled. Earlier in that day, July 1st, I was told by the city manager that the resolution was going to be removed from the agenda. Based on a public records request by the college, text messages between the city manager and the council just prior to that meeting indicates there was never an intention to remove the item from the agenda, and there was communication to the entire council indicating that. The resolution was obviously not removed at the meeting when I spoke to the issue. It was unanimously tabled by the council. As soon as I left the meeting, a side conversation took place. It was once again placed on the regular agenda item as the last agenda item for that meeting. Confusing at best, but the perception is not good. Once the item was discussed, Mr. Carter indicated that he had concerns about the potential of lying on the application. This concern is written in the minutes you're about to approve. However, what is missing in the minutes is the statement made by the mayor, and I quote, "My solution, we don't believe there is a land dispute, but the college does," unquote. I have copies of resolution 2020-30 from March 21st, 2022 meeting by the Lake City Council. that indicates that the council at the time acknowledged that there was an issue of property and that the city authorized the land swap and included it in a survey. As of today, that resolution and land issue still is not resolved by you, the city. To say that the city doesn't believe there's a land issue just isn't accurate. Council, 33 years of disagreements between the college and 3 significant issues that are progressing towards legal action for the past 5 years. You have stated that we want to resolve the issues. Your actions at the last meeting indicate otherwise. I request from the council we have a public workshop between the college and the council to attempt to resolve these issues once again. This needs to be put out in the open and all of you have understandings of what is taking place. The college continues to want to be educators and talent providers to the community. Way too much time is being spent otherwise. However, we have no choice until you want to settle these disputes. Thank you.
I would like to have our airport director address some of those concerns.
Come on, Ms. Lee.
Do you have questions on? Or where did you like me to start?
Yes, I think the confusion is about the land that we're talking about. What I was talking about was not the same land that we talked to him about at the meeting. So why don't you explain what properties we're talking about?
Okay, so we have a piece of property on the north side of 90. It's adjacent right to the 2 existing hangars that are already there. It's not even on the south side, even attached to the borderline of the college. That's the grant that we're going for right now to build a hangar and a taxiway. The other part is the land dispute that I think Dr. Barrett's talking about is from years past. There are 2 parcels that we wanted to swap. It is right now in the FAA's hands. It is up to us to, it came all the way to being signed off. And at the time, between the city and the college, all the boxes were checked and everything was ready to go, but the college never signed off.
Okay, thank you. So we're more than willing to keep working with the college on this. I think there was some confusion as to what land section we were talking about, and we're still willing to work with the college. So I'll have my secretary call and see if Dr. Barrett wants to try to work this out.
Mr. Barrett, I would definitely I agree with you on a workshop with the council and the college. Like I said, I was intending to call you after that last meeting, but I did. It needs to be worked out. And I think that, I would ask that you give Mr. Rosenthal the same opportunity that the previous city managers in the past have told you and didn't do what they told you they was gonna do. So I'm asking that if you would at least give him a chance to try to make this right and help working together on making this right. That's it. Mr. Sylvester Warren.
Can you not have Mr. Audrey start the clock? Because I want to send these up to you by the deputy. It's going to be a part of my public comments if that's okay by you, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, I'll get deputy. Yes, sir.
Are they all the same?
One stack is MLK. I got them written. One stack, all those are relating to MLK.
Okay.
And then the other stack is related to all those different roads that I named.
Do you, want these back after the meeting?
No,
Keep
they,
these?
yes, ma'am. I mean,
You don't know what it is.
Thank you for recognizing me, Vice Mayor Hill, and giving me the opportunity to present those pictures. And I will explain them in my public comments when I get to it. The first thing I would like to say is that I still contend with this governing body about free inmate labor. I think it's wrong. I think it's slave-like, and I think that this body should do something about working inmates for free, not paying them, but at the same time, those inmates don't have an opportunity to be hired by this city. I think that's wrong, and I think that that's slave-like behavior. And I think what this council is doing, in my opinion, is buying into the new Jim Crow and the new slave system. With that being said, members of the council, with the exception of Mr. Carter, voted sometime back to allow the Wilsons to fully use the piece of grass parking lot that's adjacent to their building. From what I understood and understand, they have not been allowed access to that. That was voted on a moon ago, and I find that to be unfair to them. I find that to be unfair to the people who were supporting them, and the fact that it hadn't happened yet. And we consider that, in my neck of the woods, and with people that's in politics, administration, that's low-hanging fruit. That's an issue that they open the gate and start letting them use it, and you don't have these conversations happening. Secondly, I sent those pictures because last meeting, I think it was Councilwoman Young, she mentioned about speed bumps. And she mentioned about MLK, which is asinine. You wouldn't put speed bumps down Mary Street, and police officers are flying up and down that all day long. Why would you put speed bumps in the main vein of the black community? Look, and I gave you those pictures, Mr. Hill and council members, to let you know it's right by your church, St. Street, your church home, you preach it every Sunday. The issues are the side streets where the residential, where the kids are playing, everything else, that's where they're flying at. That's where the speed bumps need to go at. So I plead with this council. You brought up the speed in the past. It is becoming a problem where it is even starting to aggravate. And I normally don't get into what these jitty blows are doing, but it's out of control. And we do need speed bumps. And the only way we can get speed bumps is that this council would have to make a motion or give orders to this administration to craft an ordinance or repeal the ordinance already in place that says that we cannot have speed bumps. That's the issue. No one has made that motion. No one has ordered staff to do that. Lastly, with my few minutes, and I may go over, and I apologize as I do, I call for the resignation of Ms. Young. I think she should resign. She has not represented District 10 the way that she promised that she would. If she doesn't want to resign, that's fine. We'll vote out in 26. I also ask that the investigation is going on with Mr. Clay Martin. I find it to be a conflict of interest, and for him to still represent the city in such a manner. And I think that he should either step aside while these matters go on, or do like Mr. Robinson did and resign as well. Thank you.
That's Pastor Eli, Ms. Martin. Mary. That's all, Mary.
She went too bad.
Okay, Mr. Ben.
Hi, my name is Ben Lostrom. My only question is, they've had the chain link fence around the outside of this building to hold the brick on for a really long time. I just wondered if they had a time frame to fix that, or how that was coming.
Yeah, we're getting estimates on the repairs to the building. We've had one estimate, we're trying to get two more.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Glenn Elbaum.
Vice Mayor, Councilmember Glenn about 1156 Northeast Baskin Lawrence Drive. As the Gateway people look at taking the pictures, I don't know if you can appreciate it, but I'm gonna tell you, when they stand here, it was so crowded. I remember a time when that space, this holy land up here, people come up there and take a picture, had more space. This serves no purpose except for a barrier. Admit it. Nobody used that. It's no purpose there. And it's ridiculous to have 20 people stand up here. They were all over Sylvester, crowded up here. Get rid of this stuff. I mean, it's unnecessary. You got a police officer there, you got 3 officers right there, 2 outside. That's what it's about. It ain't nothing about no handicap accessibility. Nobody uses this. It makes no sense at all. It's insulting to me. Quickly, I want to talk to you about Wilson Park and Salome Jerry Park. I had no idea, Mr. Vice Mayor and council members, that there was not a public restroom at Wilson Park. I assumed all these years, Mr. Carter, that the bathroom at the pavilion was open during the day for the public use. But now I found out recently that's not the case. My wife told me that was the case. I didn't know what she was talking about, so I called Terry. Terry said, yep, the pavilion is a rented facility, and the bathroom comes with that facility. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. The problem, though, however, is that you got to walk past down there. If you can walk around, you got 4 picnic tables down there where people sit down and eat with trash cans. And you got a park that the road keep up. So my question is, what is the public going to do when we use it? I took my grandson down there. He had to go to the bathroom, but what if he had to go to the bathroom? What I'm saying to you all is that I'm requesting that you look at the opportunity of putting a bathroom down at Wilson Park. They put a bathroom down at Richardson Community Center now for the same reason, handicap accessible, people can get to it. I just didn't know what happened. This is not a complaint, this is observation. I'm sure nobody else paid attention to it, but now that I'm going around my grandson, I'm saying, oh my God, no bathroom? At least you got something down when you pick up the mess from my dogs. So if you can put something up to take care of the dog mess, put something up and people can use the bathroom. The other park is Salome Jerry Park. It's been improved, it's a kiddie park. But now I'm finding that the homeless and other people starting to make their way to that park. I go by there every morning, almost every morning now, they're taking a kid out there to a Richardson and other place. Homeless are coming into that park. And the other problem is, in that park you have sand, as opposed to the kind of stuff you got at the Rotary Garden at Wilson Park. Sand is not user-friendly. Sand was having the beach, so my grandson come down the sliding board, he hit the bottom, hit into the sand, and he got sand on his hands, sand on his feet, and then no sprinkler to wash the sand off. So I'm suggesting to you all that sand need to be replaced with something more conducive. Like the guy at the Rotary Garden or something you got out the Young Park. Sand does not work. And I would encourage you to do something about that, to change that sand to some other kind of ingredients. But the Wilson Park thing is something that you really want to pay some attention to, because I went by the other day, there were 2 homeless people. I said there was 2 people sitting up under the pavilion, and they were just sitting there. So the thing in my mind, okay, if they have to use the bathroom, where are they going to go? So I think we need to look at putting a public bathroom out to that park. Thank you.
I want to address something that Mr. Young brought up. I mean, Mr. Sylvester. Steve, what's you know what the holdup is on them using that parking lot at the theater? Because like you said, it had been approved for them to use that lot.
As far as I know, the parking lot's ready. They've mowed it, they put the milling in there, everything's done as far as I know. We just need approval to open the gates.
Okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Mary, will you,
Good evening to everyone. I would like to make an announcement. On Saturday, July the 27th, 2024 at 1 o'clock, we are having a presentation. The presentation is called Raising the Awareness of Sex Trafficking, which will be done by Sheriff Mark Hunter. Also, life-saving Narcan spray, Stop Overdose, Florida Department of Health, Columbia County will sponsor that. Also, we're going to have a lady who's going to give a testimony on the time when she was kidnapped. Finally, we're going to have Natalie Moore. She is with Living Well Therapy. And that again is on Saturday, July 27, 2024 at 1 o'clock. It is a luncheon. It is not a fundraiser, but it is a luncheon. The food is catered by Hendon Creation. The fee or the donation for that luncheon is $25. If you have any questions or if you would like to purchase a ticket, you may call 386-406-5428 or 904-397-4500. Thank you.
Okay, next we have the consent agenda. So approved, ma'am. Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And next, we have no. At this time, we will have Miss Melissa Fox with Fred Fox Enterprise to come and provide an update on the CDBG Wilson Park grant.
Hi, good evening. My name is Melissa Fox. I'm with Fred Fox Enterprises, and our firm is the grant administrator for this project. This project was funded or was applied for funding on November 9th, 2020. The city signed an agreement with the state for the funding on November 15th of 2021. And at that time, the city procured our firm to provide the grant administration services. In January of 2022, our firm began the environmental review for this project. The environmental review process typically takes anywhere from 8 to 9 months, and it includes a list of agencies that have to be notified. You have to allow them so many days for response. You have to publish ads in the newspaper, and there again allow a lot of, a certain amount of response time. In February of 2022, the St. John Suwannee River Water Management District indicated a conflict between the proposed work in the application and the proposed work in the plan submitted for the permit. The district required modifications to the permit to clear this conflict. This required additional time that was not anticipated because we needed that clearance from the Water Management District in order to move forward on the environmental. Once that was resolved, our office was able to continue on the environmental review. The engineer submitted the notice of general permit with the modifications in May of 2023. Finally, on October 16th of 2023, our office assisted the city with the submission of the environmental review to Florida Commerce for review and approval. There's a two-step approval up there. There's the environmental review team that reviews it, and then there's also just your regular grant manager up there that looks at it. Well, we did get approval on November 9th of 2023. At that time, we began coordinating with the engineer the finalization of the plans and specs so that we could submit them once again back up to Florida Commerce to get their approval, and also for them to issue what's called a wage decision that needed to go in those plans and specs. So those were submitted, and at that time, the environmental review team at Florida Commerce reviewed the plans and specs and noted that there was work taking place on the plans and specs that was outside that original scope. So the engineer indicated that all the work outside of the original application was required by the permits. One was from DEP and one was from the Water Management District. So in order to get the approval, we had to then turn around and start a new environmental to include that extra work that was being conducted or that's going to be constructed. And to clear the condition and receive full approval of the plans and specs, about 60% of the original environmental review was required to be updated with all of the new information. So we had to contact all new agencies again. We had to run the notices again. At this point, we are completing the updated environmental review and submitting it, and plan on submitting it back to the state next month. We had another little holdup. We were waiting for confirmation on whether or not the floodplain ads were going to need to be republished. Originally, Florida Commerce indicated verbally that we would not. However, when we asked for it in writing, they reversed their decision and indicated they would in fact need to be republished. So we are nearing the end of that environmental review, additional environmental review. We are hoping that they will approve that sometime in late August. And then once we have that, we will get the approval of the plans and specs, and we will finally be able to coordinate with the engineer to put this thing out to bid. I know it's been a long awaited project, and it typically does not take this long, but this has proven to be, I guess, the perfect storm, and we've hit hurdles along the way on this, so. And the environmental review is a rough process. It's, any little hiccup can delay it for months just to get clearance. So agencies are backed up, they don't respond back as quickly. So it's just been, like I said, it's been the perfect storm on this. But we do anticipate having this completed by next month and having it submitted. And then it shouldn't take long once we submit to get that approval. They've already reviewed the bulk of the work, so this is just for that additional work that's being done. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, give you anything that I can.
Anybody have any questions? Well, Ms. Fox, I know what you're talking about on these hiccups.
It's been a frustrating one, but we are looking forward to getting this thing out to bid and hopefully, getting some good bids in and getting this project going. I know it's a long-awaited project the city has wanted to do, so.
That's all you have, no one else. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next, we have Ms. Shannon Williams, come with, Gateway grant writing, come to provide an update on Gwen Lake grant.
Yes. Shannon Williams with Gateway Grant Writing and Administration. I just wanted to give the council a formal update on Gwen Lake. Today I applied for Water Quality Improvement Grant and Inland Lands Restoration and Protection Grant through DEP. Both for Gwen Lake, we received a letter of recommendation from the Swanee River Water Management District to go along with it. Very, very confident about these. The city has also set aside adequate funds for match for this grant opportunity. So these grant applications are a lot stronger than some of the ones that we didn't have match for. And just so everybody kind of understands the Gwen Lake, it's kind of a three-part situation that we have the dam repair issue, we have the lake and the dredging and sediment issue, and then we have the ravine issue with the inflow of sediment coming in. So previous applications, we applied for parts of, some grants fund portions of it. But for the DEP grants that I applied for today, we applied for the entire project. I'm also working with the city on drafting a letter for the residents around Gwen Lake that we can send and let them know that they may not see things going on at Gwen Lake right now, but there's a lot going on the planning side with the city and the council and everybody else. And I just want to keep them updated because communication is very important, and they get frustrated when they don't see anyone out there, but a lot is going on behind the scenes. And it's I feel coming together, as quickly as we can have it done. I'm also researching some other grant opportunities that I want to apply for as well, just to make sure we've uncovered every stone and make sure that we can fund this project and get this completed for the residents around Gwen Lake. Also, about Sally Mary Park, I can't even say it anymore, Sally Mae Jerry. Councilwoman Young asked me a while ago to get some quotes on removing that sand and putting in that traditional, not foam, it's like a rubber matting. So I'll make sure I get those to you this week. I tried to contact some people just kind of online and didn't call, and I didn't get really good quotes. So I'll make sure I get those quotes to the city this week so you all can decide what to do with Sally Mae Jerry. Any questions for me?
No, but I would like to say, I am tired of hearing that this, that, and the third is going on around Gwen Lake. And the people that live around Gwen Lake, they're frustrated as well. And the quicker we can get something going over there, for them to see some mud slinging, some dirt slinging, some grass slinging or something, it will go a long way with everybody around that lake.
I agree. I agree. So since I took on this project, I think I've already submitted 2 different applications for Glen Lake. I know the city has stepped up, like I said, and got the match funds for the applications that we're gonna continue to submit. I know we had conversations about going ahead and starting the engineering, but we kind of put a little bit of a pin in that because we can use that engineering for match funds as well. So I agree with you. I'd like to move forward with whatever parts we can, just so that we can be shovel ready for whatever grant does come along. So that would be a decision between you all. If you all say, hey, let's just go ahead with the engineering. Go ahead with the engineering. Yeah. So.
Anybody? Thank you, Ms. Williams.
You're welcome.
Now we'll open a public hearing on City Council Ordinance 2024-2273 on final reading. Mr. Martin, would you read that by title, please?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of the council. You have before you ordinance number 2024-2273 on second and final reading. It's an ordinance of the City of Lake City, Florida, amending the text of the City of Lake City Land Development Regulations as amended pursuant to an application LDR 24-02 relating to an amendment to the text of the Land Development Regulations, providing for amending section 12.4 entitled Notice of Hearing by adding a provision requiring notices to property owners within 300 feet of a property that is the subject of certain land use actions, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. Should the council wish to adopt this ordinance on second and final reading, an appropriate motion would be to approve ordinance number 2024-2273.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this ordinance? If there is none, I now close the public hearing and move into adoption of ordinance 2024-2273 on final reading.
Move to adopt ordinance 2024-2273.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, let me back up. Can we call the roll?
Yes, Ron.
Yeah, can we call the roll?
Is there any further discussion?
Is there any further discussion? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Carter?
Yay.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Jernigan?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Hill?
Yes. Okay. Next item on the agenda, discussion and direction for the city council related to the city current lease agreement for the Champion Homes of Merit. Mr. Martin, would you read that by Mr. Martin?
That's his item.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. This is based on a report to council from the airport director, Mr. Vanel, and there will probably be elements of this that he will speak to. The general summary is that the city's lease with Champion Homes / Homes of Merit, there was a name change in there, but the city's lease agreement with them actually expired at the end of the last extension on June 30th. So technically at this point, they're a holdover tenant. I think it kind of snuck up on them, it snuck up on the city. And so the reason this is on the agenda is to seek direction from the council about how you wish to proceed. I think the airport director's recommendation was to just grant one more additional extension of 5 years, and as the end of that period approaches, but not at the last minute, come back to council with perhaps a proposal to get appraisals on the value of that property so we can renegotiate a lease moving forward. It's really up to the council. You could at this point say, we want to do that, we'll only grant a 1-year extension to give us time to get our ducks in a row, find out what that property is worth, and then enter into negotiations with Champion. But there just needs to be some direction because there's not an automatic extension at this point. It would need to be for some period of time for them to remain.
Mr. Carter?
If Mr. Ed would like to explain any of these details, that would be fine, but I think that the recommendation seems reasonable to create the addendum extension.
You said you would like this, say something?
The building in question is a building that's adjacent to the east side of the Homes of Merit Plant One. It is a building that they use now for storage of their commodities. The building you would have to actually access through their parking lot to get to. And at this time, my suggestion would be is to either 1 year or 5 year, as Mr. Martin was saying. That way, there's no direct access to, off the road, so that it's kind of hard to give somebody else access to a building that's, they're using right now. So, as Mr. Martin was saying, that it would be up to your suggestion to which way we want to go with this.
Just also in the process of if we authorize this, do we need to additionally authorize in the paperwork changing the name of Plant One to Parks Warehouse? We need to make that clear.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
We could conform the documents to the name change. I think the Parks One, the Parks Warehouse is something that it's been designated through the property appraiser, and that's just kind of become the generic name for it, and we could call it that in whatever addendum we drafted. I think if the council wants to go in this direction, the biggest thing that I would need to be able to draft the addendum and bring it back for your approval at a future meeting would be the time frame, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever you would want to do.
I wouldn't go 5 years, I would go 3.
May I say something to you?
Also, as the airport director, we cannot allow these things to sneak up on us. If it's due in June, we need to get it done in June. If it's done in July, we need to get it done. So I just want you to be vigilant of these contracts that we have out there with these certain people. We have to get these things done in a timely manner. So 1 year, I would say go with that 1 year, just like you said. I would take your recommendations, and that way we can go ahead and get all our ducks in a row, get name changes and things like that. But whatever you do, when that 1 year is 60 days out, 30 days out, whatever the case may be, bring it to us, or bring it to the city manager there. That way we can go ahead and negotiate and get the things done in a timely manner. And that's what we've been doing lately, we're letting things sneak up on us. It doesn't, so please, whatever you do, just be vigilant of those contracts. And there's a lot going on out there, Mr. Ed.
Yes.
And that's why we have, we got a city manager now that's here, concrete.
Yes.
So therefore, bring those suggestions and recommendations to him, and I'm pretty sure you have already. That way he can get it to us, and we can just keep rolling on these contracts, okay?
Yes, sir. As I have moved in, I have been trying to get ahead of some of the contracts that have been in the past that are been left behind a little bit. So I have segregated them, given them a timeline. This one I did start at the beginning of June, and there was some little holdbacks, so that's why we're here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if I may, I'd just like to point out that this isn't something that Ed did. Ed inherited the situation,
I figured.
and he's working diligently to try and resolve it.
If I might ask, Ms. Brunel, is there a specific reason in your recommendation you came to to 5 years, or would 3 work? Is there?
That was a suggestion.
What was the link to the previous?
They were 5 year.
5 years.
Yes, sir.
I'm just a firm believer in the longer it's extended out, the more time, when they have so much time, then it's more of a chance that you're gonna get slack or forget or delayed or whatever. I think a closer amount of time will kind of keep our attention to them.
Okay, well, what's the pleasure of council?
3 years seems fine to me. So, happy medium, a few years to go on the plan for the next one.
Sounds good.
I would like to go with, what he said 1 year. I would like to go with that suggestion, that way we can get all of our ducks in a row in a year. That way, I know I won't forget about it for sure. And, I'd just like to go that 1 year. He's the airport director, he said 1 year, 5 years, so I'd like to go that 1 year to make sure we get all our ducks in a row.
Yeah, and I concur, because he's the man who's actually, in charge of the task, so if he says 1 year, then I think we should.
1 year it is.
Was it 1 year? I thought the recommendation was 5.
It was 125.
125.
Okay, gotcha. There you go.
So I will bring back an addendum at probably the next meeting for a 1 year extension, provided that the champion's agreeable. I don't imagine they would have an objection to any kind of extension at this point to get us over the hump.
Also, Mr. Ed.
Yes.
Also, Mr. Ed, I just want to let you know you're doing a very, very good job out there. So I can only appreciate the things that you are doing. Now, you stepped into that role. That was a lot going on out there. You stepped into that role, and I think you're doing a really good job out there.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for your support.
Ask Clay a question. Clay, Ms. Martin, on the, so you're gonna automatically build it in the CPI change as the recommendation as well?
My assumption was that the council would want to increase the rent. I didn't ask about it, but if there's anybody that doesn't want to do that, let me know. But I was going to implement the CPI change. Yes.
Yes, do we need to make a motion?
I don't think you need a motion at this time. I've got clear direction to bring something back to you.
Okay, item A, information proposal. Discussion, possible action on tentative millage rate. Mr. Rosenthal.
We have a short video for you to take a look at. Short, I think we have it up already. Our finance director is going to take us through that.
So currently our millage rate is 4.9 mils. We're proposing the maximum millage rate at 5.7006 mils. That is an increase in revenue of $848,110 would increase. The rollback rate is 4.6665 mils, but our administration is proposing the maximum millage rate at this time. If you go to the next screen.
Next slide.
This slide here shows that the surrounding areas, we're actually one of the lowest for our current millage rate at 4.9. You can see the surrounding areas on the screen. And this is an example of an average city citizen of what their taxable value at a house of 250,000. So at the current millage rate, you can see with the exemption, the total taxable value, the 225,000, will levy taxes of $1,102.50. If we go to the maximum millage rate, that would be an increase of $180.14 for the entire year. So that's what we're proposing. So that would be a typical average citizen's increase over the whole year. In order to pay for roads and things of that nature. Prices of everything have increased. Unfortunately, to pay for those, we have increased taxes.
Okay, staff need guidance on which rates advertised, what is the most, what the pleasure of council?
Mr. Vice Mayor, if I'm understanding this correctly, what they're asking for at the moment is approval to advertise the maximum increase possible, not necessarily that we are agreeing to increase it to the maximum amount, but that once we begin the process, we can not go any higher than we allow them to go now. So I'm fine with increasing that, or giving them direction to advertise that way.
Do I have a motion?
Well, I need some clarity on that, because if we're advertising it, that it's possible, max, is that correct?
Wait, let me, if I may, we're advertising, but what she's saying is that we're advertising the max amount that we can go. So once we advertise that rate, we can't go above that rate, but we can come down. Yeah, we can come down. We're at 4.9 now. We're advocating the 5.7, and that'll raise an additional funds that allow for additional work to be done here in the city. Like we're doing in Gwen Lake and other places, that allow us to have more money to do that kind of thing.
And we all, I mean, we frown on increase on tax, but we want our city, we want elevation. We think elevation, we have a new city manager who has great plans for our city to grow, and it costs. You know, we have complaints about roads and all of this, everything has increased so much, so it's almost impossible for us to function without an increase. There has to be an increase. It's just no way around it, and I hate that it fell in our laps like this, but it's because we haven't had any increase in the past years. So now we're at the point where our back is against the wall. We have to. It's a must. And I just pray that our that everyone will understand that this is what it's going to take for our city to get to a higher level.
And if I may, the staff has worked real hard to keep that to a minimum. You're talking at the highest point, $180. And most people are much lower than that. That's the average.
So therefore, a motion necessary.
I'm sorry, Mr. President.
So we don't need to make a motion?
Well, we're looking for your permission to raise it to the highest, to advertise the highest rate. So you're not giving us approval to do the highest rate. You're just letting us advertise that. You can always come down from that.
Yes, we can, like I say, we'll go at what's advertised, but we can always roll back.
Yes, sir.
If I may, Mr. Wright, you're keeping your options open as you go through the budget planning process.
Mr. Mayor, may I just give a general consent? Is everybody in the general consensus to advertise at the highest rate?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay. You okay, Angela?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, we have, discussion and possible action on trail schedule for FY 24-25, Mr. Rosenthal.
This is just a schedule that we need to stick to so we can meet all of our deadlines. This is a trim calendar for you. This doesn't require a vote. We're just, with your approval, letting you know the schedule we need to keep in order to make everything on time.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I have a quick question. The typical time of our meetings is 6 p.m. I think it's a good time. Make sure it makes it more accessible for citizens to take part in the meetings. I noticed on August 21st and August 22nd, we have 2 budget workshops that are scheduled to start at 4 p.m. I'm wondering if there's any special reason why they're starting a few hours earlier. And quite frankly, I work at a day job and get off just in time to make these meetings.
Okay. If I may, Councilman, there is no reason other than history. We'll be happy to change it to 6 o'clock. It's no problem at all.
Yeah, I'd like to see that if the council agrees.
If I may say, I think 5 o'clock would be a better time, and the reason is the workshop seems to go a little longer than regular meetings. And just like people, we're concerned about those who can get here. We don't want to keep them here all night either. So if we put it at a 5 o'clock time instead of 6 o'clock, then hopefully we'll get everyone home before a late hour. That's my recommendation.
So staff is waiting on direction.
I like that recommendation,
Which one?
the 5 o'clock and. I like that.
5 works for me.
5 p.m.
Is it 5?
5 o'clock.
Staff sets it at 5.
Comments of council. Man, I've been looking for, this is the page I've been looking for. I'm inviting everyone out on August the 3rd. I do my annual, community day. This will be my 4th annual community day. We'll have fun and games for the kids and the adults. We'll have fried fish, hamburgers, hot dogs, popcorn, cotton candy. It's just a fun day for the community. Everybody is invited to come out and have a good time, have music. So I'm inviting everybody to come out and fellowship and have a good time and eat some good fried fish and hamburgers and hot dogs. Oh, yes, it's over, near Memorial, the old Memorial Stadium at Big Oak. It used to be a Little League baseball field years ago. And it starts at 12 and it ends at about 4, but it could go a little longer, you know, everybody.
When?
August the 3rd. We give out school supplies for the kids going back to school. Like backpacks and all that good stuff. So I'm looking forward to everybody coming out and enjoying themselves, eat some good food, fellowship. Anybody have anything?
Will you be able to post that flyer on the city? Is that website? Is that permissible?
I don't think so.
I would like to, go ahead.
I just, real briefly, obviously, we are at each of these meetings blessed to have a dozen or a couple dozen sometimes, even a few dozen folks come visit with us here in the audience. And of course, what I'd like to see is at one point, maybe not too distant future, that this room's full all the time. I'd like to see more and more involvement and more opinions. But also, I'd like to take note of the fact that we have hundreds of people that watch our meetings online that aren't able to make it, whether it be disabled, whether they be busy working, you know, whatever the reason. And I've heard this a ton, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but every time I go to any community event and I talk to anybody about anything we got going on, a lot of people have a lot of issues with specific things, but one thing that everyone says is, I can barely hear you, I can barely see you. They have, you know, some issues with the audio quality and the video quality, maybe the angles and things like that. I spoke to Mr. Rosenthal a little bit about it earlier. And I just want to kind of maybe bring it to staff's attention. It would be nice maybe to see an updated, camera and audio system for these meetings to make sure that they're crystal clear. In 2024, I know we can do it. Also, just as a detail thing, I've seen some city meetings in other cities where they'll have like a dual screen situation so that you can see a camera that way showing us, and you'll also see a camera this way showing who's at the podium and the audience. And I think that would just be a nice thing to see updated.
So Councilman, staff was ahead of both of us. Staff has that in their budget for this year.
Excellent.
Exploring how we can make the system better.
I have one more thing to add, that I'd like to thank each and every one of my council members / the mayor for their donations to my event. I greatly appreciate it, and the kids appreciate it.
Yes, we have a lot going on, and it may not look like it, but there's a lot of work being done. We have a lot of tasks at hand, and we haven't gotten an update in the last few meetings, but you will get an update on all the projects that we had listed. They're being worked out. So we have a lot going on with the city, a lot of work is going on, and I'm appreciative of everyone here and all of the administration and department heads. We have a great city, And there are great things happening now, and there are great things set to happen in the future. And I just appreciate all of you.
Mr. Hill, Mayor. I know I always talk about the, well, not always, most always talk about our Lake City Police Department. The Lake City Police Department and law enforcement has had a rough 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, they've had attempts, they've had, you name it, they've had it. So I just want to commend the Chief Butler and his staff as a job that he's maintaining in this city. Of course, you know, people always say this is a gateway to Florida. It seems like everything happens right here in Lake City, Florida, for some apparent reason. So I just want to commend Chief Butler and his staff for the job that they're doing and maintaining professionalism and our citizens here in Lake City. So again, Chief Butler, thank you. And all those department heads back there, y'all are standing tall and looking good. I know that's a military saying there, but y'all are standing tall and looking good. And I really appreciate you guys. I'm talking about from water to sewage. I really appreciate you guys. It's not been one time that I've called the city manager and talked to him, and we got on that task, and y'all are doing a really, really good job. So y'all keep that in mind, okay?
And let us be mindful, let's remember to pray for our nation. Let's pray for our nation, pray for our nation, pray for our county, pray for our city. It's very important.
One quick question. Item number 3, I did not see that ever come up. Did I miss that? Okay, so that was already, okay, I just didn't catch it.
Anybody, all minds clear? Motion to adjourn. Move to adjourn. Second.